Hey, what's up, Grainger? James with Rowe-Thrush here in the Hydraulic Technologies booth 2024 at the 2026 Grainger Show. This is Hydraulic Technologies' first time coming to the Grainger Show, and I'm here with Ben Lando. How are you doing,
Hey,
Ben?
How's it going? Good.
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
How are you enjoying the show?
It's been a great show for us so far. Yeah, it's our first year working with Grainger. We're super excited about our partnership with them. And this show has been a really good kickoff for us and our partnership.
We're day 3 into the show. You guys have been pretty busy, especially at your second booth. They have a demo booth too, which we're going to take you over to in a little bit. But before we do that, we're going to walk through the products. And first, let's start off with, who is Hydraulic Technologies? What is it that you guys do? And you guys have a lot of brands too. Let's kind of go through some of those brands.
Yeah, we do. So Hydraulic Technologies, we're a hydraulic tooling manufacturer, specialized in high pressure hydraulics, 10,000 PSI products, tooling that you see here on this booth for, general MRO, infrastructure, heavy lift segments, also precision bolting. We also make our stone product line, which you see on AC and DC power units for primarily lifting, right? Think about like a dump trailer or an auto hoist, things of that nature. We made a couple of acquisitions in Foxtrot and Hydra-Slide. So think about, power team is for lifting, bending, tensioning or pulling, whereas both Foxtrot and Hydra-Slide are for moving. Think about moving heavy equipment into a building or over into a warehouse. Just kind of makes life a little bit easier for moving heavy loads.
Okay. And you got some products here on the table. So let's start with Posi Lock. That's one of your brands that's in Grainger today. So what would somebody use Posi Lock for?
Yeah, so Posi Lock is really well known for this cage design right here, right? So anytime we're using a puller, right, we're using it for either removing or installing maybe a bearing or a sprocket or a fan hub off of a shaft. And so what's great about Posi Lock, what separates it from everybody else, is this cage design. So whenever we pull something, think about if I were to pull on this table, if I were to let go, I would fall backwards, right?
Yeah.
So when these are pulling, if this jaw were to ever break, this cage design, exactly, that jaw will come back at the operator. But with this cage design, it protects the operator.
So it's a great safety feature right there.
It's a huge safety feature, absolutely. We actually have the widest variety in pullers. We go from 1-ton pullers that are like the size of my pinky.
Oh, wow.
To 200-ton pullers, which you'll see in the mining space.
Wow.
For pulling very, very big, sprockets, gears, bearings off of shafts. Yeah, absolutely.
So I used to be a mechanic, and I've used lots of gear pullers in my time back in the day, but I had never seen anything like that. I'm like, that must be a heavy duty gear puller right there. The fact that you have that cage. So that's a really cool feature.
Absolutely, absolutely. We make them in all different varieties to fit the application's needs.
Now let's walk through some of the power team products that you have here too.
Yeah, so on the power team line, we are, again, that's kind of what we're known for. That bread and butter is 10,000 PSI products. So it's lifting, bending, tensioning, etc., pulling. So everything you see here is 10,000 PSI. We make all of a variety of different rams or jacks from 5 tons all the way up to 1,500 tons and everything in between.
Wow.
So what you see here is, again, is 10,000. A lot of what you're seeing here can actually lift up 10, 20 tons.
Wow.
You'll see a variety of different types of pumps, which are actually what pressurize or power the cylinders, right? Put the fluid through the cylinders. So you see hand pumps, which are manual. You see our battery pump that runs off the Milwaukee platform. We have gas, electric, commonly seen all throughout the industries that we mentioned a little bit earlier. Also, what you'll see here is our bolting line, our torque tools.
Yeah.
So think about if you were to use an impact wrench, right? It's super fast, but not probably as accurate. It's probably a plus or minus accuracy of 20%.
Yeah.
15% maybe. Precision torquing is a little bit slower, but
it's very accurate.
It's plus or minus 5%, exactly right. So we can go from anywhere from 1,000 foot-pounds to 50,000 foot-pounds and everything in between.
Now, what are some applications for bolting?
Yeah, that's a great question. So any work around the flange, so definitely oil and gas, right? Any valve work and like power in the power gen sector. Think about extrusion machines as well, right? For however much you weigh is how much you can put out in torque.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not a very big guy, so I'm like 175 pounds. So, for me, like for using this, right, 1,000 foot-pounds is a lot for anybody. It allows a safer method and more accurate method for precision torque, right?
Yeah.
So I could set a pump, I could set my pressure, that's gonna correlate to torque. and with the click of a pendant, right, click of a button, I can run it and I know what torque value I'm getting, so I'm not going to under torque or over torque my application, right?
Yeah.
Think about like quarries or any machinery with vibration, right? Vibration over time is going to loosen up a bolt.
Yep.
So you want it to be precision torque, because if you over torque, we're going to struggle to get that bolt off, or we can compromise our gaskets that are compressed in the flange. So
yeah. Now you also have eSync over here. So this is something relatively new with you guys, correct?
Yeah, this is what's shiny and new. Yeah. So
and it's like a modular system that you have here, where you can take it apart to easily transport and take out of a pickup truck to set up for the job site.
You nailed it. Synchronized lifting is not, that technology itself isn't new, right? That's been out. We've actually had synchronized lifting technology. You see our MCS system right here. We've had that for years now. The modular version of what our eSync is, that is what is new. So it's the most portable, cost-effective solution on the market without sacrificing accuracy, which is critical in lifting applications, not just infrastructure, but even in manufacturing where you got a critical load and it has to be accurate. This is perfect. So we have a 115 version and a battery version. Actually, what you'll see down there is the fastest battery pump on the market. That's our PB43. It's got a 6-gallon reservoir, and it puts out 43 cubic inches of oil at 10,000 PSI. The next closest is about 2.5 times slower. What's cool about the eSync is, so you got the pump, and then this is our sync system. It's the brains of the operation here. So we can do 4 points per eSync within 1/8 of an inch. We've actually gotten a little bit more accurate. We can also daisy chain 16 of these to go to 64 lifting points. We're doing a major bridge job in Florida right now where they're utilizing 3 of these. So they actually originally bought 2 because they had an 8-point lift, and then they said, hey Ben, we need another one. We got a 12-point lift coming up. So we can actually turn these around pretty quickly. Okay. We got about a week delivery on these. We were able to deliver it to the job. They did a 12-point lift. And what's cool about this is like, those MCSs or what our competition has as well, they're very big. They're very tough to use. This is so easy. Anybody, James, you could do this with minimal training. It's just a couple clicks of a button. Yeah. You're setting your accuracy, you're setting your target, and you hit the button once, everything will rise at your lifting spec. Absolutely. So.
Now, if I remember right too, yesterday somebody was mentioning how it'll actually monitor the lifting, and if one jack gets a little bit out of sync, the others will lift up to compensate and get it corrected.
Correct.
And it's very minimal, those adjustments. So they basically stay in line with each other perfectly. But if there is a little bit of a shift in anything, it'll make self-adjustments to correct itself.
It'll self-adjust itself. Yeah, hydraulics in general, like they want to take a path of least resistance, right? So not every load is created equal, right? You may have, like think about a car, right? If you're lifting up a car, right, it's heavier, it's going to be heavier on the front than it is on the back because of the engine and things like that. Same thing with any other load that we're lifting. It's not always evenly distributed, so it'll compensate for that and allow it so that way we're not compromising any structures or offloading, or because a falling load is what's critical and can cause catastrophic failure. So safety is our #1 priority in making products. Any new innovations for us, we always keep safety in mind.
Now you mentioned that this is in Grainger too, right?
Yeah, this is in the Grainger catalog, absolutely.
You mentioned one application, lifting a bridge. That's pretty wild right there to think about.
Someone's got to do it, right?
Right? Well, this will do it. This is doing it. What are some other applications where somebody would use this?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if I'm in like a manufacturing facility, I've actually demoed these lifting gearboxes before. Okay. So again, maybe it's not millions of pounds, but it's a critical lift. So it could weigh 4 tons, it could weigh 20 tons, and it's not necessarily that it's super heavy in our world, right? Again, we make cylinders from 5 tons to 1,500 tons, so that's on the lower scale for us. Yeah. But it's critical, right? Or maybe I'm taking people out of it where I can go deploy those people and do another job, and I'm saving costs there.
Yep, productivity, increasing productivity.
100%, and so lifting castings, right? So think about like your steel mills, your concrete plants, any type of heavy machinery, and even like corresponding it with like a Hydra-Slide system, right? Yeah. Or a Foxtrot system. Maybe I'm jacking it up just to get it onto that Hydra-Slide system. Yeah, so then I can move it into a building or something. Move it into a building or move it across the warehouse. Exactly right. We just want to thank Grainger for having us at this show, and it's been a really exciting trade show for For us at Hydraulic Technologies, we're really looking forward to the partnership with Grainger. James will take you over to the playground, as I like to call it, the demo booth.
Yeah, so thanks for stopping by booth 2024, Hydraulic Technologies. We're gonna go on over to the demo booth now to go check out some of their products actually being used. All right, well, thank you, Ben.
Hey, James,
thank
thanks
you
a lot.
for the tour of your booth. We'll go on over to the demo booth now. Good morning, David.
Hey, welcome to our booth.
Yeah, this is the Hydraulic Technologies demo booth at the 2026 Grainger Show. Great to see you, David. You're going to do a quick little demo of the eSync that we just talked about with Ben. Why don't you take us on
great.
over?
Come on, head on over. So this is our eSync synchronous system. So I'll show you how easy it is to set up and use. It's really just a three-step process. So after you do some initial programming, it's three quick setups. So basically, you set up your tolerance of what you want to achieve. You set up your target, how high you want to go or how far you want to push an object. And then you do your preload, and then you zero out your relative. At that point, that is the 0 point that we're lifting from. As you can see, we have 3 inches set up, and we are already up 1 inch. So now we just come over, set it up in auto mode, and we hit the button. At that point, it is going to synchronously lift within a 1 millimeter tolerance between cylinders. This system, you can link 16 of these together to yield a 64-point system, so you can synchronize 64 cylinders all at once.
Yeah, Ben was talking about that, and that was actually going to be one of the questions I asked was, can you daisy chain a bunch of these together? Because I could imagine some applications you need more than 4 jacks, you need more. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, so this is a 4-point based system. You can link 16 of these together. At any point, you can stop the lift, walk down to the next one, and make that one the master. So if you don't like what you're seeing, like a large bridge project or building project, you can walk down to the next one, make that the master, start the lift from there for maybe a better visual point. And at that point, it data logs all the information on the lift, and so that you can export that information,
Really?
hand it over to your civil engineer to inspect.
That is super cool. And the thing that really blows my mind about this too is it's battery powered. You know, I would have never thought that something like this that has this amount of lifting capability to it could actually lift with a battery. You'd think it'd be a gas motor or something like that would be running this.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the only battery powered unit on the market today. So obviously, initially, there's concerns from a customer standpoint. You know, they're used to generators and having AC voltage, 110, 220.
Yeah.
But having the battery, we went through this whole system and we programmed it specifically for a battery. So if the battery does die, it locks everything into place. So safety, absolutely.
Great safety feature.
Safety is absolutely number one. You pop out the battery, pop in a new one, you hit go.
Yeah.
On the eSync unit itself, the battery lasts 24 hours nonstop. In the pump where all the work is being done, it lasts a half hour at 10,000 PSI continually. But what do you hear right now? The pump's not running. So eSync tells the pump when to turn on and off. So when you need power, it turns on the pump, shuts it off, saves battery life.
Wow, that is super cool. You know, I'm a nerd for tools and stuff like that. So I mean, this whole thing is just, you know, really cool to me. So, and I love the fact that the pump is separate from the brains, separate from your container to store all the hoses and all the extra parts to it. You know, that's really cool for easy portability. Also, that's a good safety feature too, because thinking of lifting it up, you don't have to have 3 or 4 people or use a forklift or anything like that to move it around. And it's easy to get into the back of a pickup truck.
Sounds like you're ready to sell our product for us. So.
I've learned a thing or two, but also some of it just kind of makes sense to me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best thing about the battery, you know, no generator, no cord switch over.
Yeah.
And a lot of generators, you know, are 20 amp circuits, and a lot of the pumps out there in the market today are above 20 amp.
Yeah.
So you're constantly switching breakers. So
yeah,
it makes a lot of sense from a cordless standpoint.
Well, and with gas powered, you have fumes, and that could be bad depending on the application and the environment. High voltage, you have that as an issue too. So, I mean, the fact that it's on batteries, that's really cool to hear.
Yep, absolutely. And everything in the booth today is battery powered. So everything is cordless today. So.
Next, you wanted to go through something that's kind of new for you guys,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. If you need to move heavy objects, this is our guy over here. So this is our Hydra-Slide setup. So imagine that you can't use a crane, maybe a low height building, or the crane takes the object up to the side of the building and maybe you have a crane inside the building, but how do you get it through a doorway? You're going to have to use a skidding system like this. So this skidding system, this with these low profile tracks, goes up to 350 tons. We have a larger track that goes up to 1,000 tons. So imagine very heavy objects that you need to push. And you can sync multiple tracks together as well. It also comes with the various pumps, so depending on the speed requirement you need, and obviously different size cylinders depending on your load. So let me give you a quick demo. It's very easy to use. So basically, we have cylinders hooked up to the load, and we're just going to drive the load one direction. You can also flip these upside down, and you can actually pull the load. Oh. Another feature is, let's just say you're going down a slope and you want to make sure you don't have a runaway situation, you would spin the cylinders to the opposite side to help pull the load instead of push the load if you have that concern. So it's basically just an easy hit of the button. Okay, now we're ready to go. Now we're ready to push. Okay, now we're pushing the load. So imagine this, 100 tons, 500 tons. Obviously with this track it goes up to 350 tons. We're going to drive the load. It's going to hit its dead spot. Now you're going to retract the cylinders. It's going to click into the next squares. It's going to lock into place. And now you're ready to slide again. So you'll hear that cylinders drop down. Now you're going to drive again.
That is super cool.
So now one of the benefits of this lightweight track, as you move the load, these handles here,
pick those up and put them onto the front.
Exactly, and you just keep on moving along. So if you have a long distance, just keep on going along. And then, like I said, we have different style pumps, faster pumps if you need to move your load quicker.
I love the fact how you can it resets itself. So it's like an inchworm almost, moves forward at like 6 inches or so and then resets and moves another and then another and then another. And I like the fact that you have these notches here to be able to flip it over to also have it pull versus push.
Absolutely.
That's really cool and versatile too.
Yeah.
One tool to do pushing and pulling to do both types of tasks.
Right, so this is one of the easiest systems to use that we offer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing how simple it is. The setup, everything goes to this container. It's all self-contained. When you get the product, take the lid off, everyth's there. Multiple tracks, click them together, and then just go, you're ready to lift. So compared to like a crane, setup is very easy. If you have to rent a crane, there's timing involved in that. There's crane operators, there's permits. Here, you click and go.
Now, what's the maximum load capacity that you could do with this?
So with this low profile track, it's 350 tons. With our larger, more like an I-beam style track, that goes up to 1,000 tons.
Wow.
So very heavy objects.
It looks super simple, easy to do, easy to train somebody to be able to use, and it looks a lot safer than using a crane. We've all seen videos of cranes toppling over and whatnot. I don't think you have to really worry about that because you're keeping it very low profile, so that keeps the heavy load a lot safer.
Correct. There's a lot less calculations involved.
Yeah.
You purchase the track that you need or overbuy your tonnage if you're concerned about that, and then you just drive it. Right, it's not going to fall over too far. I mean, we're up about an inch, so if it falls, we're not going to be on social media as a fail.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. All right, anything else that you wanted to cover about Hydra-Slide?
Nope, let's introduce you to Charles over here, talk about our product, Foxtrot.
All right, good morning, Charles. How are you doing?
James. Good.
I'm not used to looking up, I gotta say.
Yes.
So good morning, it's great to meet you. You're gonna go walk us through Foxtrot. Again, by Hydraulic Technologies, this is just another brand that you guys have. Recent acquisition as well. So, so tell us what Foxtrot is.
Sure. So Foxtrot is a remote control electric dolly, moving up to 60 tons. And it's a battery powered unit. It's the most compact in the industry. So as you can see, this one here can move up to 22,000 pounds. So it's pretty impressive, the amount of load for the size of the unit. The applications for it is like moving transformers, CNC machines, HVAC. So everywhere there's a big load in tight spaces, this is where this tool shines.
So I loved having remote control cars as a little boy growing
Yes.
up. There was one, and this is like an adult version of having a remote control car, but for
Correct.
moving, big equipment. Now I saw a video on, I think LinkedIn, of you guys doing some movement with Foxtrot, but you had more than one of these.
Right.
So can you eSync or sync
Yes, yes.
like 4, 5, 6 of them together? What's the maximum
We
that you
would
can
be
do?
able to sync 2 together,
Okay.
and for long loads, that gives added maneuverability and flexibility because then you're able to do side shift.
Yeah.
You're able to spin the whole load on itself.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of application where having 2 together really makes a difference.
So you could do 2 together, but if you needed to do 2 more, then you'd have 2 operators basically.
Correct,
At
yes.
that point. So, and they'd have to be obviously in very good
Right.
communication to be moving forward, stop, all communicate that.
Right.
Very cool. So you said some applications, transformers, any heavy machinery, as long as it meets that load capacity.
Yes, and now also a big field is the data center. So we help a lot of the manufacturers that are producing the transformers, the ventilation. So they would use this on their product line to help and move the flow of the production.
Awesome. Wow, and you just said a buzzword, data centers. We've been hearing it this whole time. We've been hearing it for months. We have other suppliers that are big into data centers, so that's a great application as well.
Right.
Great. Anything else that you wanted to cover about it?
Well, maybe the ease of use, because that's a big plus. Like moving a large load can be intimidating, and it can require licensing and a lot of training, whereas this is so simple to use that pretty much everybody can understand how to operate this. So this is a big plus because once you're scaling up your operation, everybody can still understand how to use this.
Yeah, it's just 2 switches, one for left and right and one for forward and back. So very simple. You got on-off switches too, obviously, and a speed, but it's very simple. And I see you got a strap too, so if you're using it for a
Right.
long time, you could put it around your neck, so that's nice. Super cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Charles.
Thanks, Jay.
Really appreciate it. And thank you, Grainger, for stopping by the Hydraulics Technologies main booth, but also the demo booth.